more familiar to us, where you'd say something similar, I got other fish to fry. Or you could even just translate for sense and say, I've got better things to do. And you get a little bit of that in some of this psalm, where you have a literal word that can be difficult in English because it doesn't have the same idiomatic meaning. So being able to go back between a more literal kind of translation, what do the words actually say, even if grammatically or idiomatically they seem a little confusing, and a different translation that tries to convey the sense of what is going on, what the speaker might have, or the writer, I should say, might have been intending for you to understand, can be very helpful. This one, several hymns that we may be familiar with reference this one. Be Thou My Vision, specifically, and God Be With You Till We Meet Again, though they don't draw on the theme so much as taking individual ideas from individual verses. Things like being hidden in the shadow of wings, and so forth, rather than the entirety of the psalm being recapitulated within the song or the hymn itself. Talked about there being many varied readings. The beginning of the psalm, the psalmist is asking for God to attend to what he is saying in the first couple verses. So we'll run through a summary of this before getting into the weeds. Saying that the psalmist, the person who is coming and asking for help, is in fact a righteous person. And this righteousness, right, so in the 3 to 5, speaking about his righteousness and his state before God, is thus made confident of the answer to be given, of God's response, and that's verses 6 through 14. And then this wraps up with knowing that he's defending from the wicked and he will have it. So there's some overlap here, but this is the two things that he's expecting an answer. What is it that is required? And he's going to get it. And then there is fulfillment. The psalmist is fulfilled by his faith. So we can see that as we read through, that this is a message that is being delivered by this psalm, by this prayer, and that's not going to really change depending on how we look at these individual sections. But there is a lot of depth and interesting things here. This is a recapitulation, or a prefiguring maybe, or a foreshadowing of a message that's really being delivered as well in 1 John. If you look at 1 John 3:2, it speaks of our seeing God, seeing Jesus, seeing the Christ